Okay, that
speed up
makes
healing.
It's more on like the soft tissue, right?
Yeah. And the cavitation, and we even have a plug that goes fully into the cavitation. You know.
I want to see more of, systematic literature reviewing on that.
Everyone does. I say, well, it's still kind of a new space. You want me to wear this jacket?
You don't have to. I
I
think you look good like that.
I
Unless
wanna-
you're cold.
No, I'm not cold. I want to do
You
everything
wanna
I
look
can.
so professional?
I want to do everything to elevate Jam Radio and what you're doing.
There's a rock station.
Is it a rock station?
It's a rock station.
Yeah, well.
I'll be back.
And so how does that work? You do it's like you play music and then do an
Yeah.
interview, and there's a little music.
Yeah, a
and
little bit of
interview.
music, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
It's like a podcast, but with like,
with music.
yeah.
I want to hear "Killing in the Name of" Rage Against the Machine. Is that too heavy? So you have a practice here.
I have a practice. Yeah, I run a practice here.
Well,
have a
we should
team as
we
well.
should we should test this wound healing stem cell thing with you and see if we can
That's really an
speed up
interesting-
healing.
an
I mean, it's more for your premium clients that are like,
I know.
I don't want to be 6 weeks with a
Mhm.
wound in my mouth, and it's like,
Mhm.
well, we could do a stem cell treatment to help,
I actually
and you have to
like
manage
that.
expectations. It may or may not help, but
Mhm.
it'll help with reducing inflammation. It can help stimulate blood
I like
flow.
that, man. Yeah.
Why not? And you
That's
tell
why
them,
I wanna listen.
yeah, sure.
Let's
Yeah,
see.
yeah, yeah,
Let's
yeah,
see.
yeah, yeah.
But I love that.
And then you'd also do aesthetics. You have a dual clinic, like
Yeah,
you're doing both sides. You do aesthetics and dental.
No, it's dental aesthetics, not static. It's
Oh,
dental aesthetics.
oh, so you're only doing dental.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dental aesthetics. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's your clinic?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's
Did I
fine, it's
get
fine.
your Sorry,
No,
sorry.
no.
What name do you go by on the radio? What should I?
Roanna?
You just go by Roanna.
Ro.
You do, Ro.
Mhm.
I like Ro
The
better.
show is Rock and Roll.
Okay, that's better. Ro. I didn't know if you had a special DJ name.
Well, I Ro, because people are like, what's your name? Joanna, Rihanna, Robina, Rowena. So just keep it simple.
I have completely emptied my mind. I'm an empty vessel coming into this. I have no agenda. I have not pre-thought of anything.
Oh no, I like
Okay.
it like that.
I'm just an empty.
That's
We'll just
perfect.
go where it wants to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
That way it sounds more natural, conversational.
What's the cadence of the show then? Tell me a little bit how this goes. I don't really know.
I'll just introduce you, and then I'll ask a few questions about what it is you do, and explain, all the stuff you do. Of course, it's very scientific, so
Yeah,
you
I'll
can
try to
explain
dumb it
it
down.
in
Yeah.
layman's terms as much as possible. That would be great.
And how long are each little segments that are back and forths?
We'll
Usually?
interview until like 7.
Okay.
Mm.
Oh, and then you splice that in on the music after or something?
I
Or is this
actually
live?
just have one break because I just have to take a break for a commercial,
Okay.
and so it's probably like 15 minutes and then a break and then last 5 minutes, which will be the final.
Oh, okay. So it is more long form then.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. I had
And
no
then, are
idea.
you doing this with Vine Aesthetics
Um,
exclusively, or are you?
No, I don't really want to shout out clinics because we're still doing legal trials,
Okay.
and so, I mean, yeah. I mean, you can shout them out.
Yeah, I can just say
You
that's
can.
where we met,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And that's why
yeah.
I interviewed.
I mean, the way I'm doing it now is that they're joining us on our case series
Okay.
research side, and so that's fine,
Can I be a guinea
Yeah, of course.
pig? No, really?
Well,
Really?
with the case series, it depends which one you want to do. We have a facial one. I'm getting a Mark VU scanning machine.
Is that the one I witnessed?
We're going to get one that's Korean FDA approved.
Okay.
So I'll talk about that too. That's an interesting
Yeah.
topic because the technology to analyze results is getting better,
Uh-huh.
and people like that. They're like, people are tired of,
Okay.
anyway, I'll say all this again when we do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just avoiding giving you the answers, and then I'm going to say it again. It's like I don't want to spoil the audience with
This is why I don't give you like a
It's
a
good.
question
Yeah.
beforehand, because
Yeah.
then everything will look like it's been scripted.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was runner-up for Hope of America in 3rd grade, so they have this award called
Yeah.
Hope of America, and they give it to one boy and one girl in the 3rd grade. It's such a weird thing, and they give you this award and stuff. And my cousin won, and then
Mhm.
I thought I was going to win it in the entire class,
Okay.
and the principal's son got it, and so it was like this kind of like insider thing. He got the Hope of America award, and I thought I was going to get the Hope of America award.
How old were you then?
Whatever third grade is, I don't know. What is that? 9, 8 or 9?
Yeah.
So you're
9,
pretty
10.
good in question and answers.
I'm just getting over a cold, so apologize. Wishers and jammers.
Jam88.3, that is the Beatles with Across the Universe. And on top of that is Cage the Elephant. Ain't no rest for the wicked. And you are still with me, DJ Rowe, for Rock and Roll all the way till 9 o'clock. Don't forget, later on at 7, we have got Dr. Jonas Apostol for Tooth or Dare to answer your most pressing dental health concerns and dental cosmetic concerns as well. Also, make sure that you follow me on IG, that is RowanXRow, and also on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, that is Rowana Ruiz. Hotline for today is 0916-303-8870. So, with no further ado, let's go on ahead and welcome to the studio. We got an expert on, I'm going to try to say this as much as I can as possible. He's an expert on stem cells and regenerative research, but I'll have him do most of the talking because he's the man to hear it from. So welcome to the studio, Mr. Chris Williams.
Thank you, Ro. Happy to be here, and look forward to chatting.
Yes, so we met last week, was it, right?
Yep.
At Vine Aesthetics. I was getting some treatment done, and you were there showcasing some sort of, what do you call that?
Yeah, we do cellular therapies.
Okay.
So these are human cell and tissue products that are used for regenerative purposes. Yeah.
Okay, so what makes it like something that is very, very new, and what makes it stand out?
So, kind of going back to the original conception of this, you have to think about, let's go all the way back to how you were formed, right?
Okay.
We all came from our mother, and our mothers gave us mesenchymal stem cells through her placenta, through the umbilical cord to the fetus.
Right.
So when you think about how we all came into existence, we all came from the same placenta umbilical cord, giving us the life-giving cells that formed us. But what happens is when we got these cells at the very beginning, they are what are called undifferentiated cells. So these were cells that did not become a hair cell, an eye cell, a skin cell.
Okay.
They were undifferentiated. And so what scientists have done now is they want to harvest the power of these original cells and use them to help regenerate your body, right? And so that's what scientists have been working on the last 30 years, is harvesting these powerful cells and using them for specific conditions and illnesses and diseases and all sorts of things.
So, based on your research, how long have you been a part of this kind of program?
I've been in the health space for 20 years, and the work around stem cells and exosomes and cellular therapies, it's about 30 years old. And really what started to happen is, even here in the Philippines, it's quite popular, as the birth happened, the mothers wanted to save the placenta and umbilical cord. And so a lot of freezer banks started to start up, right? So a lot of mothers would be asked after the birth, do you want to save your placenta, right? It's a common question, and they turn it into supplements or powders or whatever they want to do with it, or they'll keep it in a freezer bank to use for later. And so that's how our labs got started 20 years ago, is they were freezer banks. And so as they started to have a lot of these materials, they started going into human cell and tissue products and saying, what else can we use these for? Unfortunately, what happens a lot is they're marked as medical waste. And so there's kind of a sacredness to this. Like, once
so
again,
they used to get thrown away?
yeah, that's right. It was marked as medical waste.
Yeah.
And so you think about, these are these incredibly powerful cells that formed us, and they have the ability, they're not invasive, they're organic. And at the hospital level, a lot of times they're marked as medical waste and thrown out. And you think, what a travesty. Why would we waste something so precious that gave us the very life that we have? And so it's been about, preserving that, respecting it, learning how to harvest it and use it. But since it is a new field, there's a lot of research happening, safety protocols, research, FDA, Department of Health, all those things are really coming together to make it more accessible.
What do you think is the biggest challenge when it comes to what the research that you do?
So I think if you look at the regulatory side, the job of these FDA departments, the Philippines FDA, US Departments of Health, their job is to ensure safety, right? At the end of the day, they really want to make sure things are safe. And so when it comes to human cell and tissue products, there's a lot of of steps that make it possible that it's safe, and I'll share a few with you. So what we do is we work with a chain of OBGYNs, and we work with first-time births and C-section,
Okay.
right? And so we also work with a very carefully selected set of mothers that have gone through DNA testing. They answer questionnaires like, did they vape in the home? Have they had tattoos? There's like a whole list of things to look at. If we're going to harvest this placenta and umbilical cord, let's make sure it comes from really the highest quality source. And so even things like the mothers have not had the COVID vaccine, that kind of stuff.
Like
so
their overall health.
Overall
It's
health.
like a score.
yeah, so there's a score. Yes. And so then what happens is that we know about 3 months in advance before the birth's going to happen, and our technicians are going on site to harvest that placenta and umbilical cord. And the key part there is they have to get it very quickly into liquid nitrogen, right? So when you're dealing with an actual mesenchymal stem cell, it has the power to replicate and give off growth factors and exosome and cytokines. It's this amazing, powerful cell, but if it doesn't get properly stored in cryopreservation, it dies. And so that's the real challenge here, is how do you preserve it exactly, and make sure that it's going to be active when you take it out of a cryo freezer. So there's a big process of getting that into liquid nitrogen. Our team's very good at that.
So this is most especially when it has to travel.
Has to travel, and then the other part is we do a whole section of disease testing. So we hold it for 14 days in quarantine, and we do disease testing. We also follow the U.S. FDA rules for minimal manipulation. So there's just a lot of like safety protocols that are now built in to ensure that you have a very safe, healthy, non-disease specimen that's been handled properly that can then be used for human cell and tissue products.
You know what's coming to mind right now? It's an old movie with Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman.
Gattaca?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that something that you think would eventually be
Well,
done in this, in this research journey in the sometime near future, where you could look at basically the cell of I don't know, like what would be a newborn, and basically kind of make sure that it's got all of the regenerative and stem cell, the prime stem cell component to it, so that what happens is, you have a birth of like some super human who doesn't get sick as easily as the rest, who is probably like the better genes.
Yeah. So let's have a little fun and talk about this. Okay. Let's talk about the sci-fi side of this. Originally, the concern was cloning.
Right.
If you remember, they were like, we have to be careful with this. They're going to start cloning, and we're going to have clone wars. And there was like all this speculation of what are they doing with these stem cells, and they're going to start cloning things. Remember, they were like growing ears and growing hearts, because once again, the power of a mesenchymal stem cell is it has not become something yet, right? So they can take.
So you could kind of draft what it could become.
Yeah, so they're growing ears, they're growing hearts, and one of the original concerns that I remember early on was they literally thought there was going to be clones, and there was going to be an epidemic of clones, right? Just taking over the entire Earth, kind of thing. And so I think there was concerns around that, and they backed that off. But then you said another thing that's really interesting is this whole gene manipulation side. That's a real gene sequencing is a really big thing right now. I've gotten to attend a bunch of seminars, and you can actually go to the fetus and do gene manipulation. And if you look at countries, China supposedly has done this a lot, and they're creating like new superhumans, right?
Really?
They're doing gene manipulation. So they're saying like, is this the new, remember it's like there's an arms race and a power race, like who can get solar power. Now it's like, how are we going to turn these babies into super babies, right? We're going to do gene manipulation to turn on the IQ gene and the muscle gene and the recovery gene.
Have super smart, intelligent, and strong race.
So there's already pretty good.
But it kind of makes sense, because right now what people are doing is we try to take the vitamins after the fact, right? So this is basically before we even get to be formed into a human.
Yeah.
You're already putting in all the vitamins per se into the whole gene pool.
This is even more obstructive, because it's literally gene manipulation. They're literally going in and changing your genome and editing your genes, because they've mapped out the entire gene pool. They know certain things, like they can turn off autism, turn off other kinds of things like that. So it's really what the whole field is. We were talking about this before. The whole field is like this biohacking or longevity space that is looking at like every component of aging and how to reverse that or slow it. And it's so expansive. There's things like sound healing, light healing, water healing, laser healing. I mean, there's so many different techniques and things involved in the space. It's massive.
You mentioned to me before when we met, you compared it to, for example, if it was injected into the face to have somebody get younger looking skin,
Yeah.
right? As opposed to the typical ways how it's done, whether it's Botox or it's fillers. You mentioned, do you mind explaining that to me?
Yeah. So it's interesting when you look at the aging process and you say, what's happening as you age? Your mitochondria slows down, right? Your DNA breaks down. And what's different now is, and I don't want to scare people, but like you are under assault. You live in a city with pollution. You have you're eating microplastics. Your food contains pesticides, glycinate. You have the additives, food dyes, seed oils. I'm just saying, like, if you listed all the things that are attacking you on a daily basis, that's all going to speed up aging, right? Like we talk about, like people's hormones levels are lower than ever. Everyone's diabetic and overweight and stressed. They don't sleep good. They're age. So like all of these things are making you age quicker. And so they have these new tests now. It's called a DNA methylation test, really popular right now, and it can tell you your true age. So people don't really even understand. Like they think that it's their birthday and they're 40, but it's like, well, how old are your cells? How old is your body? So they now have tests that will tell you your true age. So I've done this. So I'm 42.
Right.
Luckily, mine came back and I was 37.
Okay.
So I was surprised. I was like, good. I've had other people do it and they're 4 or 5 years older.
Oh, so they're aging much faster than they should be.
Yes, because of all these external stresses. And so like, people always say, why do I have to take supplements and why do I have to do all this? And I'm like, because you're under assault. Everything's trying to kill you. And so you're not eating, clean spring water and vegetables grown in an organic farm and, holistically grown cattle, right? Like everything we have is factory farmed and factory made, additives, fried in seed oils. Like, like it's just so many things are assaulting you that there's this big counter movement now to look at how do we get these things out of our life? How do we fix the damage that's been done? How do we assess it? And it's just this huge $100 billion plus industry that's just massive, and it's all geared towards optimizing people. That's what really is it about. It's like, people think they go to the doctor and they get a blood panel and it comes back and they'll say, well, you're okay, right? Like you probably had this before. Like the doctor says, you're okay, meaning you're not going to die.
Yeah.
But what you find out is you're at the low end of normal. And it's like, we want to invite
not
people.
Really okay, actually.
Yeah, it's like, let's get to the high end of optimal, right? The bar is so low nowadays. Like the doctor's like, yeah, you're not going to die tomorrow. See you later, right? There's very few people that are really doing that. And so that's what this space is doing. There's more champions, these clinicians, these doctors. They want to do that. They want to help you optimize. And really it starts with these assessments. It looks at blood data, face scans, bone density scans, is we now have more tools to address and understand our own body. When you think about it, there's so many snake oil salesmen. How many times people have been like told, buy this supplement, buy this thing.
You don't know what to believe anymore because there's so many out there and everybody's trying to declare that this is the one that you have to have, right?
Yep. And so people have felt burned historically. I know I have. I bought so many supplements and things like that. So now what we have is we have better diagnostic tools that really show us what's working and what's not working. And so the field's really exciting right now because of that. There's a lot of tests and things you can take.
Before we go into a quick commercial break, I remember that you had that machine that counted exactly how many pores.
Yes.
Yes. So basically, it like took a photo of your face, and it would count how many pores your face had, and how many of them were actually like larger than
small, medium, and large pore count. Incredible.
And you could see all of the wrinkles.
Yes.
So if you were to, for example, inject Botox, you'd know exactly where you need to inject it.
They can even see the depth of the wrinkle. They can see your elastin, collagen, skin
it was a
hydration.
Little terrifying, actually. I was like, I don't know if I want to see my face up close like that.
Yeah. They told me my face was dry, and I go, really? Okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll be back with more of Chris Williams when we return. But right now, a quick reminder. Check this out.
So do you also use stem cell for that kind of treatment, like the
face,
wrinkles, face? Yeah. Nice. Instead of
we even do it for sexual wellness. We should talk about that. People love anything around.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hi, come in.
I just wanted to drop by and say hi.
Hi, this is Jada. Also DJ.
Hi, Jada.
Dr. Jonas, Apostol, and Chris Williams.
Hi, nice to meet
Chris.
you.
Nice to meet you. They're both doctors?
No.
Okay.
Only him.
Tina's
Yeah.
also having a doctor in her show.
Yeah, because it's Wednesday Wellness. They did the Wednesday Wellness too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was hoping to see Gina, but yeah, I saw the doctor, so it's
Yeah,
okay.
I told you, right, that she can't make
Yeah,
it
I
today.
know.
Yeah.
She can't make. What happened to her?
She's not feeling well.
Okay. I just had my first episode of Pit Stop as well.
Cool.
So yeah. Are you guesting with Tina as well?
Yeah, at 7.
Oh, later on, punta rin
Yeah.
siya kay Tina. You're going to Tina.
Ah, no,
No.
here. With
No.
Ro.
Dr. Jonas has a show called Truth or Dare every
Oh.
Wednesday, and
Yeah,
then
with Tina.
Chris Williams is talking about regenerative research and stem cells.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Very,
We just talked about the Clone Wars. Everyone wanted to clone everybody and create a clone army.
I was just starting to watch again Star Wars,
There
so
you go.
I'm now in the Attack of the Clones
Okay, well,
part.
perfect
Yeah.
timing. Talking about
Okay.
stem cells.
I'll leave you guys to it. I'll
Alright.
see
Okay.
you again for,
Yeah, hopefully next first Wednesday of June.
or for the lunch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Alright.
Okay. Bye guys.
Nice meeting you.
Have fun. Nice meeting you.
I really wanna go to Tina's in the future.
What?
I really wanna
Yeah,
go
you
there.
can. Why not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Next time.
Yeah. We're on the same time now.
Same time ba?
Yeah, except her show is Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Mine's Monday to Friday.
Okay, Monday. Okay. Pwede,
So
pwede.
basically, like, you could come here and then you could go to her after.
Yeah,
Because we're
pwede.
sister companies. The other radio station is just
Oh,
like two
oh.
doors down, and it's sister company. And then the DJ is also my friend. So sometimes
nice.
we pass guests to each other.
Nice. Oh, ano.
People love health.
Oh yeah.
Is this picking up audio too, the Facebook Live?
Yes, it's
Oh.
picking up our audio.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Okay, we're going back again in a minute.
When did you start your stem cell company here in the Philippines?
We just barely started it actually, and
Okay,
you
so
know
it's
we can
more
and we can
like
talk
this
about
one.
it too. Is that we're working with we're doing case series for the FDA, and so we're working to really want to do it the right way. And so
FDA Philippines.
yeah,
Okay.
so we're
When
doing.
Did you start?
We just started the case series last week. Yeah.
That's so fresh.
So it's very fresh. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like down the road, we want to do additional ones, like the dental ones on our list and stuff.
Mhm.
So hit you up, try that one later. Right now, we're just doing like three case series.
Nice.
Audio check 1, 2. Can you hear me on your headphones?
No.
Oh, okay.
Jam88.3, that is Newfound Glory with all downhill from here. That's definitely why we need to know more about this stem cell research. Because especially what they say once you reach 40. That's when, I don't know, that's when the skin starts like really breaking down and all of that stuff. Not the fun stuff, but yeah. So, Chris, where in the U.S. are you from?
Utah.
In Utah. So you're in the Philippines right now for how long?
Yeah, so we came out here to really help. We really want to work through the legal system here, and so we're conducting a case series right now for research purposes to help kind of expand out the regenerative health market in the Philippines. And so I've been here the last few months setting up these research trials and working with clinics to produce data that we can submit to the FDA to help make some really important changes here to give people more access to these kinds of therapies.
Well, it's great that you're bringing it here to the Philippines,
Yeah.
and we're very lucky
Yeah.
that hopefully soon we'll have something like this as an option. I don't know if a lot of people can afford it. I'm pretty sure it's going to be costly.
It's really not that bad. I mean, people have been able to get access to this exosome-wise, 30 to 50K on the low end. If
Okay.
you want to get access to real mesenchymal stem cells, you can get treatments as low as 300K,
Yeah.
which I know still sounds like a lot, but when I first came here, I was surprised at how many people were flying internationally to get these treatments.
Right.
They're going to places like, Germany,
Which is
Tijuana.
quadruple or more.
Yeah, they're
of the
paying like
cost, right?
50,000 US to get these treatments that weren't necessarily better. And so trying to make it more accessible, help with medical tourism. There's just creates jobs,
Right.
it provides results. So there's a lot of a big push to make this more accessible.
Awesome. Well, hopefully we can have you back.
Yeah.
We can have more time.
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, so any final message for our listeners?
Well,
Maybe,
I didn't get to do I wanted to tell you about the face scan. You wanted me to tell about
yes,
the pores.
yes.
You want me to tell you that?
Yes.
So we are using a face scanning technology that you stick your head in and you turn it left and right, and it gives these really in-depth scans of your face. And we were talking about before that it looks at like your pore count.
Right.
And so part of the case series was I had my face injected with exosomes. And before I did that, I took a face scan, and it showed that I had 90 large pores. Okay, so the face scan, 90 large pores. I injected my face with exosomes, waited a few hours, and then we scanned again, and my 90 large pores went down to about 51, right? So like already immediately, yeah, you start to see, reduction in inflammation and pore size, and, and it's not about a temporary solution. These are more about how to do cellular regeneration for the long term. It's, fillers, Botox, those are good, but they don't last very long, and they're temporary, right? Exosomes.
Because it's not part of the human DNA, sort of, right?
And it's not really repairing anything. It's just a temporary
It's like a
solution.
Band-Aid.
Yeah, but
Right.
these are really looking at how to restore the skin and stuff like that. So,
it's got more of a permanent result.
that's right. Yep.
Okay. Guinea pig? Yeah?
Yes, sure. Yes, let's do it. Yes.
And then we can talk about
we,
this
we
again.
Need, we need to see your real true age. That's what we need to find out. What your true age is.
I would also like to know, actually.
Yes.
Definitely not what I think it is.
Yeah,
I don't know, but maybe that's just in my head.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much,
Sure.
Chris Williams,
No problem.
for educating us on this new and latest research on regenerative and also stem cells. Hopefully, we'll have you back soon before you fly back to Utah. In the meantime, here is CSS with Cansei de Ser Sexy. This is Jam 88.3, where everything rocks.
Chris, I'll get your contact.
Yeah, you on WhatsApp?
Sure. What's up? Yeah.
The part we need to talk about more is I wanted to talk a little more about the longevity space and
Yeah, can you come back?
yeah, and
Because there's a lot of
there's
things
some really
too.
fun stuff about like red light
Yeah.
therapy, hyperbaric.
Yeah.
Like what are I have this story I tell about the Kardashians and like what they were doing
Yeah.
and stuff. That people are like, this looks so. What are these billionaires? It's Chris Williams.
Are you still here next week?
Yeah.
Okay, can you come back?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Because it's like, because people are curious about all these things people are doing, like red light therapy, saunas, cold plunges.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
do
just-
that.
Do you do that
I
stuff?
do
Like
that.
it's just all these things. What are they doing? And
But is it really is it good for you when
Yeah.
you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
yeah.
I like to do the cold plunge and then sauna.
Where do you do that at?
Well, I used to live in a condo that had all of that amenities.
Oh, that's pretty nice.
I know, it's so expensive.
That's so. I mean, I have a membership.
I don't live there anymore. I need to live there again.
I have a membership at Cary Sports at
Yeah.
Shangri-La. They don't even have that stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's supposed to be the nicest gym. They don't have any of that.
No,
you know?
one Shangri-La place, the one
Yeah.
over here,
Yeah.
it has a cold plunge, jacuzzi, steam room, and
Yeah.
sauna.
Yeah.
So I just
Yes.
do my
Yeah,
rounds.
they have that, but I'm saying like the red light therapies and hyperbaric
Oh.
and these other technologies, those are now getting integrated
Yep,
into the
yep.
gyms and stuff like that. Yeah. Okay, well,
I
Come back,
texted you
yeah.
already.
okay, did you?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's actually nice. I mean, a lot of my patients, if I talk about stem cell,
They would,
Yeah.
they would
Regeneration.
definitely say, okay, sign me
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised.
and after implant, oh my god.
Yeah, and I'm saying what you tell them is like you can have a cryo freezer on site, and you can even just do it there. Like you're a doctor, you can do intermuscular injections.
Mhm.
So you could say, part of our dental program is we're looking at how to speed up healing for you, get you back topped up, like your teeth, your blood vessels, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And so I can give you an intermuscular injection of mesenchymal stem cells that will systemically go through everywhere, but it'll also help stimulate blood flow, reduce inflammation.
Mhm.
So you could do it part of like a recovery protocol and an anti-aging protocol. You'd be
Yeah.
surprised, Tell 'em-
That's a good thing. But here we have a law here in the Philippines, which is crazy. We can't do something outside the house.
Oh, you can't. Oh, I
We
didn't know
cannot.
that.
We cannot.
Oh,
That's crazy.
oh.
They just passed that law.
Okay, well then
Like
just
2 years
inject the
ago.
stem cells in the.
Yeah.
Or you
Or I
could
can
just, you could just connect them with your
I
clients
know,
and
I know.
like a
Well,
collaborative
right.
partnership,
You
right?
could
Right?
you could have Dr. M do it. Let's get a
Exactly.
picture of us here.
Yeah.
You come in here too.
Sure.
Get a little selfie picture. Okay, great.
Let's have one or two with my phone. So you good with Wednesday?
Yeah.
And let's do an hour.
Yeah, I was gonna say you were just getting me warmed up there. I thought we had an hour, so I was like, okay.
Ako din.
Oh.
Here. 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
All right, let's stay here.
Where? Over here?
Here.
Okay.
Sorry about my phone. Don't mind it.
Okay.
Ako, picturean ko kayo. Ah, sige.
Okay.
Parang
Great.
ikaw
Thank
may
you.
design eh.
So do you have like live tracking analytics while you're doing it stuff? It shows like can it show like viewers and stuff and
It shows on the Facebook.
well, I know
Live.
that's different though. I think
Yeah.
I'm curious how I've never known that.
But then
either.
I usually post this on YouTube as well after
Oh, do you?
the show,
Okay.
and then that just adds, viewers
Yeah.
eventually.
Cool.
Yeah. And
Alright.
I'll have you go on the other station too next week.
Okay.
I'll tell
Yeah,
them
that'd
about
be
you,
fun.
so that
Yeah.
you can come here and then go there. It's
Yeah.
like a radio tour.
I need to practice the longevity talk. You know.
No, but I like that you talk really fast, so you get a lot of things out there.
You're just getting me warmed up. So
This is just the appetizer.
Yeah, just
'cause
get it ripped.
I didn't know if you wanted to do the radio guesting, so I
Yeah.
wasn't sure.
We'll see the feedback. If
I
people
it
like
felt
the
like
topic.
I was just forcing you.
You
So
ask your listeners for feedback and if they what they want to hear.
yeah.
Because there's so many topics, you know. We should even talk about the dental thing. too,
Exactly,
you know, why not,
exactly.
you know?
Like
Yeah.
right now we can talk about it
Yeah.
if you want.
You want? You want to stay?
Well, whatever. If you want to do a quick back and
Yeah,
forth,
for
whatever.
sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
just stay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would love that.
The more the merrier.
Exactly.
I mean, this is all health related anyway.
So
Where do
let's
you
not
want me?
stick
Up
with
here?
Yeah,
let's
you
not
can.
stick with
And then this will
dentistry.
be your mic.
Magla-live din ako sa
I have the little DJI mic sets. I love.
What's that?
They're the lapel mics that hook into your
Ah,
iPhone.
right.
You know?
For like the
And
influencers.
I had a studio and had like the Sennheiser and everything and was big into it.
Nice.
Where
If
do you
you
stay? BGC?
Chris, if you do have any questions about dental, whatever procedures, veneers or whatever, you can ask me so that we have a topic.
Okay.
Yeah, you're like our guest.
you're the
Yeah.
You're our
guest.
guest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I already know what to ask you. And you go by what is it? Jonas?
Jonas.
Jonas.
Yeah.
Doc Jonas.
You can call me Jonas.
No, we gotta call you Doc.
I know, right?
Yeah, gotta get you.
You earned that. that wasn't
I
that
have
wasn't
the
the
space. My job is to get you patients. I'm here to.
Kita ba ako dito?
Yeah.
DJ. Yeah. Kita naman.
Yeah.
Ayan.
What do you do when you're not working? Hobbies.
I like to go to the beach. I like to cook.
What's your cuisine?
When I was 14 years old, I went to Benihana's, which is a Japanese
Mhm.
steakhouse,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and I remember them cooking in front of me,
Okay.
and I knew right then and there I loved two things: Asia and cooking. And now, if you ask me now, I'm 40, I go, I like Asia and cooking. I just have always liked it out here. I speak Mandarin Chinese. I've lived in Taiwan, China 3 years.
Oh, nice,
Philippines
nice.
almost 5 years.
Oh,
I've
wow.
lived in Indonesia and
Wow.
all over, you know.
That's interesting.
I love to walk.
Have you visited some beaches here in
I've been
the country?
to Subic, Bataan, Puerto Galera, Boracay.
Okay.
Been all over Batangas.
Nice.
Been out there a bunch.
How about Palawan?
Not yet. I need to go. Part of
Yeah.
my reason I'm doing this here is I want to go to more longevity,
Mm-hmm.
set up longevity hubs. So I'm
Yep.
looking for an excuse to go to more Pampanga and all over Baguio. And,
That's a good excuse.
Yeah. You guys, you're on Twitch too, yeah?
Mhm.
I love Twitch. I love gaming. I'm a gamer.
Mhm.
What do you play?
I love esports.
Esports.
You know, I
Nice.
like, Dota 2.
Dota,
yeah, of course.
Counter Strike.
Oh,
I really like the esports. I really like the esports
the old
side.
school,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the esports side I think is really fun.
Terrorists win.
People are like, what's going on with India? I'm like, I don't know, I'm watching esports.
All right, I'm gonna start. Jam88.3, that is Toto with Africa, and it is now past 7, which means it's time for Tooth or Dare with Dr. Jonas Apostol. And joining us as our surprise special guest is none other than Chris Williams.
Hey everyone.
Doc
Let's go.
Jonas, so what's been up? How have
Hi,
you been?
DJ Ro. I'm good. I'm good. I mean, we did a lot of things in the clinic. I was very, very busy for the past few days, and yeah, I think this is a good time to answer more questions.
Awesome.
Let's see. Yeah.
I do have some questions from last week that we
Mhm.
weren't able to mention. Somebody asked, is it better for you to use the regular toothbrush or the electric toothbrush? Which is better?
Electric toothbrush for me is more advantageous. Why? Because of its RPM, the revolution per minute.
Mhm.
It's actually way easier to clean the teeth with that because it's not by your hands.
Right. Because we
And
get lazy, right?
exactly. And the bristles is actually quite better. I mean, you
Okay.
can choose a better bristles. And Oral B actually have that a lot of choices when it comes to the bristles. Plus, they have that sensitivity control.
Mhm.
Let's say, uh, if you use it na masyadong madikit,
Right.
pupula siya. So mayroon siyang sensor na
Oh.
you have to make sure that you don't push your brush on your teeth and gums that
Right.
much kasi mayroon siyang indicator to stop indicator just for you to protect your teeth and your gums. So it's for me it's actually a good thing.
Yeah, because I had my teeth cleaned at Apostol.
Yeah.
And Doc Raymond told me
Mhm.
I brush too aggressively.
Oh my.
So it's like,
God.
you shouldn't be brushing your teeth too aggressively. I was like, okay, gotcha. So I guess that's going to be the solution. What about Chris? Do you have any questions for Dr.
Well-
Jonas?
Well, the one that I find interesting about the Philippines is it's a great source of coconut oil, and I've always wondered how effective the
Oh, the oil
coconut
pulling?
oil pulling
Wow,
Oil
is.
pulling,
oil
yeah.
pulling.
Because the Philippines, I've actually sourced products here around the coconut
Yep,
oil.
yep.
You know, I'd love to hear more about that.
Well, that's a good question. The thing is that it's not that popular here in the Philippines. The oil pulling, it's not popular. I actually heard that from a dentist in the UK.
Really?
Because
popular
it's
in the
not po-
US.
I saw
Exactly.
it online and I tried doing that
It's
too.
not popular here, but it's
Because
actually
You have to
effective.
do it quite long, is what I've heard. Like 3-4 minutes of really swishing it and
Mhm,
doing it. It's what
mhm.
antibacterial and coconut oil
Mhm.
has with the what's it called, boric acid. That I
Mhm.
think is like helpful in detoxing the mouth. and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How does that work, like basically scientifically speaking? So the oil kind of like it makes the whatever bacteria attach to the oil. That's
Usually,
why it's called oil pulling.
yeah, no. Usually, you use that as like your parang mouthwash.
Yeah, but how does
Oh.
how does that benefit your dental health when you do it? Because I do that actually. Maybe that's why. See,
Mhm.
I didn't go to the dentist for, but they're like, oh, but your teeth are actually pretty good. Yeah, because I do oil pulling as well.
Mhm.
And is
Wow,
that because
nice.
because when you do that, the bacteria kind of gets, I don't know, the oil kind of
Mhm.
pulls it out of your gums and your teeth,
Mhm.
and as you rinse it, it gets washed down like you're sweeping it off of your teeth
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
naturally.
Yeah.
Is that how?
Well, it's because of those the fatty lipids in there. They can grab bacteria and pull it out. And so, like traditional mouthwashes use alcohol,
Uh-huh.
and they say that kills a lot of the good bacteria.
Mhm,
So there's been
mhm.
kind of a pushback against alcohol-based
Mhm.
mouthwashes because it kills a lot of your healthy bacteria.
Okay.
They've even shown in men that it lowers their testosterone that are using these alcohol-based
Oh, really?
mouthwashes. So there's like a big push against these alcohol-based ones. Organic stuff like the coconut oil, using the lipids from the fat can pull out bacteria, cleanse the mouth. But I think the downside is you have to do it for, I think, 4 or 5 minutes. Which
Yeah.
That seems like a long time to swish oil in your mouth. But,
you,
Yeah.
you have to remember to accidentally not drink it.
That's a problem.
We need a revolution of Filipinos using coconut oil. This is like one of the best sources of coconut oil in the world.
I know.
It'd be-
Yeah.
It'd be great to see
Yeah.
let's figure it out here.
That's actually one of the problems here. We don't really prescribe that to our patient because
Yeah.
it's not a thing.
It's so
In
common
every
here.
dental school, we don't teach that. I mean,
Really?
the usual toothbrush,
Mhm.
toothpaste, flossing, and everything, mouthwash without
Right,
alcohol.
Right.
Yeah, but that's actually a good question
Yeah.
because I've actually heard that before when a dentist from the UK talk about
Yeah.
oil pulling,
Yeah.
which is very advantages for the patient.
Yeah, people will get the MCT oil, which is the medium chain triglyceride, and you can put it in your coffee. There's a thing called bulletproof coffee where they would put like butter in their coffee and
Mhm.
drink it. And so a lot of people will put the MCT oil and actually drink it because it gives those healthy fats.
Mhm.
But really, the thing you look up is this lauric acid. It's very antibacterial. So,
Okay.
maybe we have a new dental product on the line. Let's launch it here.
Ooh.
Yep.
Let's do
There
it.
you
I
go.
think yes. I think that's a good idea right there.
Coming up with ideas
Yeah.
here and
Mhm,
there.
Chris, thank you.
Yes,
All right, in the meantime, we've got another quick reminder coming up, something from you too. We'll be back with more of Tooth or Dare, only here on Jam 88.3.
That's a good question.
I'm just surprised it's not more popular here. I mean, it's one of
It's
the best
not.
sources of coconut oil in the world.
It's
And it's
but
cheap
it's hard
here.
to find it because when you find it in the malls, some of them they harden.
That's the virgin coconut oil.
Yeah, but that can be used too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's good, right?
It's very easy. At room temperature, it shouldn't be hard. And it's not cold enough for it to coagulate here.
So what's the type of oil that is like the number one recommended?
So
oil
I
for that?
sourced a coconut oil product here, and I got to go out to the coconut farms and got to see how they harvest and extract all the coconut oil and stuff like that. And what they do is they heat up the oil slightly, and they can remove the long chain fatty acid, and you're left with just the medium chain triglyceride.
Mhm.
What happens is it doesn't smell, it doesn't coagulate, it doesn't stain. Right, you know sometimes that coconut oil smells like coconut cake,
Yep.
and it's thickened, and the virgin coconut oil. But the MCT, it's easier to get it in and absorb, and it's So I don't know why it's not more popular. I'm trying to bring it to the U.S. Like I actually created a
crazy.
sexual wellness product around it. That's what I did.
Oh really?
Yeah.
What is this?
Like a lube, like it's amazing for
Because it's
sexual
all
health.
natural.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Like if you talk to like sexual health coaches and things like that, they're like, don't use lotions and all these kinds of things.
Yeah, 'cause it's
don't use
chemicals.
these water based that have additives
Mhm.
and it's sticky and stuff like that. Like coconut oil, our ancestors had it for thousands of years. Like they used it for everything. So,
Natural, yeah, it's natural source.
And what we do it. So I'm from Utah, where they have a lot of essential oils.
Yeah.
So if you know like DoTerra and what's the other one called? You know all these ones. You guys know the essential oil stuff. New Skin, right?
Mhm.
Essential oils like rose and
Sunflower?
rosemary. No. The ones that smell. Or oregano.
Yep.
Oh, yeah,
Essential
okay.
oils are like they take like 1,000 oranges and they
Mhm.
extract just the oils.
No,
and
there's
they're
one that's
hyper
like sunflower, the
concentrated.
Chinese one. Remember?
Ylang
You sniff it and feel
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that's a
Ylang-ylang,
little
yeah.
different. Like these
Oh,
are
that's
the
different?
actual powerful essential
Oh.
oils. Like they'll take it from like sandalwood and bark. But anyway, you need a carrier oil because they're so strong. Like they'll kill you one drop. I have a funny story about that. But, you want to hear a funny
Well,
story?
later we'll.
Okay, it's not on your topic. So it involved me taking a bath with a young lady and putting essential oils and burned each other because it's like acid. It's really strong.
That's
And I wanted to
crazy.
have the bath be kind of romantic with the essential oils.
It's
and we
too
get
much.
inside and our skin started burning. I'm like, what the heck? We're gonna die in here because they're so strong. So anyway, my point is, you have to use the coconut oils
Yeah.
to dilute it. It's a carrier oil.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's originally what people used it for, was carrier oils.
Nice.
Interesting.
Nice. Well, actually, we are formulating a product. So
With essential oils.
no,
Oh.
with like toothpaste,
Yeah.
mouthwash, but
Yeah.
with oil pooling.
But I'm telling you, the mouthwash stuff, that
Oil
alcohol.
pooling.
Like
No,
that's,
we don't use
Yeah.
alcohol.
No, I'm saying like that's a big opportunity to get people off alcohol-based
Yeah.
mouthwashes. See, this is something I'm talking about. This is the whole biohacking space. What I'm talking about. Like
Yeah.
how to put MCT oil in your coffee and how to use it as a lube, and then how to avoid alcohol. There's like 10,000 of these little
Mhm.
changes you can make. Get off seed oils. Use lard. Use tallow. Drink bone broth.
Mhm.
Don't drink water out of plastic. You know what I mean? It's just like
Mhm.
it's a huge list.
That's actually a good thing. Like when you're asking a lot of like, I mean, when you're telling me a lot of like biohacking,
Yeah.
mesenchymal cells, stem cells. It's a good collaborative work with like a medical dental professionals
Yeah.
to your.
Well, I have another. We should talk about the metals in the mouth. You should cue me up for that question. or you
Alright.
ask
Yeah,
it.
for
I
sure,
think-
for sure.
I think that's one that people are concerned about, and that might be a way for you to show how you're doing it in a better way.
Yeah. But
Because you're not using like.
the thing here in the Philippines, there's still some school of thought that they remain to with the same idea as before, and some groups. I don't want to make enemies here. I don't know, but I can. We can talk
Make
about it.
enemies, bro.
Yeah.
So don't go get heavy metals in your mouth and have brain damage because we do take your blood sample. You got heavy metals in your blood because your dentist jammed a bunch of metal in your mouth. You know.
I'm gonna ask you about like before mercury was
It's
used
yeah,
to
but
fill in,
yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
It
right?
it was really a revolution when you talk about like the metal thing, the holistic dentistry, biologic dentistry. It's kind of new in the
It's new in the
profession.
U.S.
Yeah.
too.
It's
I've
new in
only
the-
met like 5 or 6 that do it.
I know,
Very
yeah, yeah.
expensive, like you know.
20 seconds.
With or without you.
Jam88.3, that is a live acoustic version of U2's All I Want Is You. So we are back on a Truth or Dare right here on Jam with Dr. Jonas Apostol and also Chris Williams. So earlier off air we were talking about a bunch of stuff, but I have a question for Dr. Jonas. I remember
Sure.
before, huh?
Game.
I remember before that mercury used to be used
Yeah.
to fill in for pastas, right?
Yeah.
But if you have like some, I don't know, some holes or gaps in your teeth and that needed some extra filling, it was mercury, and eventually it was replaced with something else like ceramic
Like plastic.
or plastic. Is metal still being used? Not mercury, but metal for
The amalgam, we call it amalgam restoration.
Okay.
It was used way before. I mean, like right now we don't use that, or we don't encourage our patients to use that kind of material. Even in my clinic, we don't have that anymore. Why? Because of the presence of the mercury.
Okay.
Yeah, but there are also some systematic literature review about they debunk the problem associated with amalgam. So iba-iba kasi, like right now there are cases also na no, that's detrimental to the health in general, but us in my practice we don't do that. So why? Because I'm aesthetic restorative dentist. I want to make sure that the tooth that we are restoring should look like tooth. Diba?
Right.
That's the reason why I don't use amalgam restoration anymore.
Because it doesn't look like teeth.
Exactly.
Or
It look-
unless you want to look like a cyborg, right?
Para siyang para siyang like nasirang ngipin.
Yeah,
Oo,
because
yun, yun.
number one, the color is complete opposite of the spectrum, right?
Exactly.
Well, what happened was there was a lot of blood panels being done, and they started finding heavy metals, right, in people's blood. And so this new movement we're seeing now is called like biologic dentistry. What Doc was just talking about is like moving away from these things that are harming your body. And so I know people that have gone and have to have their certain fillings removed or the metals removed, right? And so, you know, even the dental space is evolving around the longevity space. And you
What
know,
about those who have like metals in their body?
I think they're using more like titanium, and I think they're.
And that's
less,
fine.
I mean, I don't know. That's a good
Not-
question. I
we
don't
don't know.
That's a tough
Hopefully.
one.
That-
But I think,
that's
I think
yeah.
with the mouth, like especially like getting the metals out of your mouth, like I know people that have had horrific, long surgeries to remove all the metals out of their mouth because they were getting headaches and things like that, and so. You
And
know,
this was especially for people who had those procedures done decades ago when
Yep.
they didn't have the technology that we have today that makes it, you know, have other options, right?
yeah.
Yep. That's actually the advantage of modern dentistry. We can be able to restore teeth in such a way that it's more efficient, it's faster, and it's I mean the material that we use, it's much better as compared before. It's more natural looking.
Right.
Yeah.
I have another question from a listener last week. They asked, how do you fix a gummy smile? Like when there's too much gums. Like I think Miley Cyrus had this kind of smile before. And
I know her
right?
dentist. Yeah. I met her dentist.
Yeah. So how do you remedy that? Like, what
it-
procedure is usually done for that?
Well, for a basic gum problem, we can actually do a gum lift, wherein we just need to lift the gums by cutting it like through
Oh, you slice
blade.
it. To
Yeah, slice
expose
lang.
more of
Yeah,
the teeth. Okay.
exactly. But that's like an altered passive type of eruption, that type of case. But there are cases that it requires removal of bone and gum
Okay.
because the gum follows the height of the bone.
Okay.
So there are two types. But these are a bit more invasive because we need to cut a little bit of bone as well. But for some instance, we cannot do that because it requires surgery. Like we need to break the bone here on the upper, tapos we're gonna reposition the maxilla, parang plastic surgery na siya.
Maxilla.
The upper jaw,
Okay.
this one. Tapos we will reposition it. It's actually a more of like a plastic surgery type
Procedure
of
already.
procedure. Yeah,
It's no longer dental
It's-
procedure.
it's dental, but
they
it's
break the jaw, right? Have to
they
actually,
break
like,
the
I mean,
yeah.
I know it sounds harsh, but they have to like realign it, right?
Oh,
So
really?
Yeah.
That kind of scares me.
Exactly. They have to break the jaw and then put some titanium to place it.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Where
To
did
look
you put the titanium?
inside the mouth.
Okay.
Yeah, these are like a plastic surgery thing
Mm-hmm.
or oral maxillofacial surgery thing. So yeah, very it's interesting. Or
And
orthodontic
They,
treatment.
they talk about the evolution and historically why we need so much dental work,
Mhm.
and they say a lot of it's because the way we eat. We used to historically chew a lot, right? You had to
Yes.
chew your
You're
food.
right.
Think about eating sinew and bone, and you're chewing stuff, right?
Mhm,
Like you had to
mhm.
eat your food. Now
Mhm.
everything's ultra processed. Think about when you had one of those beautiful McDonald's hamburgers. You can eat it with your gums in 3 bites.
Exactly.
So people use their jaws. Also, the way we breathe, we're very heavy mouth
Mhm,
breathers now.
mhm.
We don't breathe through our nose,
Mhm.
right? So they do corrective things where they open up your nasal passages. People sleep with tape on their mouths
Yep,
now, right?
yep.
There's all these like
Isn't that to
dental
avoid
hacks.
snoring?
It helps fix the breathing pathway. I know even in dentists, you guys are doing stuff with sleep apnea now. You do
Yes.
anything with sleep apnea?
We are doing
to
something
fix
about
the
it.
breathing
Yeah.
things? I've been told I have that.
Yep.
I need to come get checked out. They'll make like a
You
mouth
wake up,
guard. Yeah, no, it's a big deal. Like the
Mhm.
sleep apnea thing, dentists now
Right.
have apparatus that can fix the breathing pathways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Usually it has something to do with the arch of your mouth. So we
Yes.
have to expand
There, yep.
the
breath,
arch.
the
Yeah.
breath.
Which arch? Like the roof of your
Yung
mouth?
Do you make the apparatuses that go in and help with that?
yeah,
I'm gonna go get one.
and then we need to expand it.
You need to film yourself
Okay.
and see
I'm
like
gonna
if
come
it's,
get- honestly,
if it's working.
I had a dentist look at my thing. He's like, you have sleep apnea. I was like, oh, bummer.
So you're
Yes, I
always
do.
like waking up as if you're like lost over there, like
But it is interesting. Why do we all need so much dental work, right? It's such an
Mhm.
interesting question. Our ancestors didn't need all this dental work.
I know.
It's because of our diets, the way we
Mhm.
eat.
it's probably what
Yep.
we eat,
Yes,
right?
Yep.
yes, yeah.
All the chemicals and whatnot. That's in
Mhm.
the
It's just
food.
even the chewing. When's the last time you really chewed something? Huh?
Exactly. We used to have like
Steamed
our
chicken.
That's it takes more effort. Yeah.
Steamed chicken
guess
takes
what?
a long time to chew.
That's actually interesting. Have you ever had like a modern factory farm chicken? It basically mushes in
Mhm.
your mouth. Think about, have you ever had like a province chicken?
Mhm.
It's like chewy. Have you guys ever had a chicken
Mhm.
that was like raised in the
Yeah.
province area?
Yeah.
It's
Native
way
one,
different.
yeah.
It's like chews. You have to actually chew it. Modern chicken, Kenny Rogers. I mean, it's just like
Mhm.
you can eat it with your gums. You know what I mean?
You don't need your teeth.
Yes, you don't.
We have got another quick reminder for everybody, and we'll be back with more of Truth or Dare. I think the next question that I have, I remember somebody was asking was, this is also something that has to do with sleeping, is
Mhm.
the teeth grinding.
Teeth grinding.
Yeah,
yes.
teeth grinding related question. But
Mhm.
first, here is another quick reminder, followed by some periodico. This is Vera. She's
Hi,
my
Yeah, of course.
intern.
Yeah.
Tara,
See
of
you,
course.
Dr.
Hi, Vera.
Jonas
Yeah.
and Chris Williams. So
Hi,
he
Chris.
is an expert in stem cells and regenerative research.
All right, welcome to Jam.
Thank you.
He'll be back again next week.
Next week.
Yeah.
All right, that's great. Still on this show on Truth or Dare.
No, it's for 6 p.m.
For
It's a new
Yeah.
segment called Biohacking
Yeah.
Your Way to 100, or you need to come up with something fun. Call it
Yeah.
I like what you said. It's all these tips
Well,
and
how long
tricks.
are you gonna be here for before you fly out?
3 to 6 months.
Oh wow.
Okay, so let's do like a
That's a
regular
long
thing
time.
then. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll come
Okay,
up with
awesome.
some fun ideas.
Yeah.
We
Because
need
we
to
can
have-
also,
we-
because
you
we
should
also
do
talk
the-
about like movies, and how like the whole fantasy is now becoming sort of like a reality, right?
Yeah, that makes me go watch Gattaca again.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
You can actually extend your time till my until 7.
Yeah.
7 or 8, yeah. Diba? Kumusta?
Hey naman. Actually, super traffic. Yeah, I was
What's-
supposed to
what's
be
new?
here. Yes, I know, but like So I was supposed to come here like a little bit earlier,
Mm.
but then pagdating ko ng like EDSA, Magallanes to EDSA, it was like
Magallanes to EDSA. That's
The Philippines has traffic?
Yeah,
Really?
it's such bad traffic,
I've never
man.
heard of that.
Such bad traffic. And then like before you get here from like Guadalupe, because then by that point I was like booking an angkas. So I booked a motorcycle taxi.
That's better.
Yeah, so that it would be quicker, right? But
Yeah.
even the
Yep.
motorcycle was barely moving. It was like, oh god.
This guy I'm working with, he has like 10 cars, and he took us on his Porsche today to Alabang, and he just flying through traffic. We got there in like 18 minutes. I was like, that is the fastest I've ever been in the Philippines. In the U.S., we have huge freeways, 7-lane freeways. People go just lightning fast, you know. But
Yeah.
here it's just like you never can really.
Doesn't scare you?
In the U.S., going.
No, here.
No, because you never can go fast enough to get hurt.
Yep.
In the U.S., people die, you know, because you're going fast enough. Here, it's just a fender bender.
Well, so when some of those sports cars go really fast, it feels like you're on a roller coaster.
Well, the
Like you're
fastest are
somewhat
these Teslas, these electric cars. They're just,
Yeah.
you know.
They're really fast, yeah. They're really fast. I always drive when I go to the US.
Yeah, it's fun
Yeah.
driving in the
Yeah,
U.S.
it's really good.
Get out on the open road.
At first, I was scared because it was really fast. I mean, here, hindi masyadong
Yeah.
mabilis, diba? But there, it's like 90 mph.
Especially if you're on
Yeah.
the freeway, you have to be fast.
Exactly.
Our off-the-air conversations have been more interesting than our on-the-air. We
It's
have like
always
a
usually
dark.
like that, actually. It's always
When
usually
people
like
get
that.
on the live, they don't want to say as much.
Well,
Off the air,
well-
it's like we're talking about
well,
sexual
the
health
face-
and
the
lubes. And,
Facebook
oh
Live-
yes, you should brush your teeth. Yes. Okay, let's talk about those sexual wellness products again.
That's why I call the Facebook Live the backstage
Yeah, yeah,
access.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I actually invited Doc Raymond.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, sabi ko, bro, samahan mo naman ako.
Next
Ayoko.
week, next week.
Oo nga eh, oo nga eh. What happened to your, ano ba kayo, teeth whitening ba kayo?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I'm so busy this weekend. Baka June.
That's why. Akala ko natuloy kayo ng
Because I
teeth
have like,
whitening.
then, yeah, I have every day there's like something I need to do.
Yeah. Nice. Busy. Natakot ka ata eh.
Ha?
Natakot ka
No,
ata.
sila nagsabi na next time na daw kasi baka napagod na daw ako nakanganga.
Okay.
It's funny to listen to the radio in the Philippines because in the U.S., every song is just sex, drugs.
Mhm.
Here, Philippines still loves like the love ballad, you
Mhm.
know, like
Yep.
they really respect romance and love here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The U.S. music has all just gone to total, it's just either violence or sex or drugs, right? It's just like, you know, it's like, no, when I got here,
Yeah.
I remember going around, I was like, oh, they really like these beautiful love
Mhm.
ballads, you know, it's
You,
nice to
you
hear.
see somebody like on those tricycles with like all that tattoos,
Yeah.
looking like like a thug,
Yeah.
and then you're listening to like Better Roses
Yes,
by like
yes, the good old
Bon
classic.
Jovi.
Bon Jovi.
I like EDM music, trance,
Oh,
electronic dance.
Party,
I like
party guy.
I don't like to party, but I love that music. I can listen to it all day long.
Yeah.
Sure, sure,
Yeah,
sure.
I really
sure.
don't.
Sure. We'll pretend we believe you. No, I'm just kidding. Jam88.3, that is music from Periodico with Agawan Bass. And this is Tooth or Dare with Dr. Jonas as well as Chris in the studio. And Vera has just joined us in as well.
Hey guys.
So Vera, if you have any questions for Dr. Jonas regarding dental health, dental, cosmetic dentistry, go on ahead and ask, yeah?
Please.
All right.
So earlier we had a listener ask about teeth grinding.
Mhm.
Is there something that they could do to stop grinding their teeth unconsciously while they're asleep?
Yeah, actually, Broxer is kind of it's actually very detrimental, not just to the teeth, but also to the gums, to the bone that holds the gums, plus the TMJ. Yeah, it can
Right.
cause something much worse because you are changing the dynamic of your bite. You're changing everything. It can cause pagkagising mo na umaga, parang it's gonna be you will feel like pagod ka. Yun. So the best treatment for that, number one, is assessment. We need to check the case first. We need to assess. Pero yung number one na ginagawa namin is to prescribe a night guard.
Night guard.
night guard,
Okay.
just to make sure that you don't grind your teeth.
So that's like a mouth guard that boxers
It's like that, but
put on.
it's like that, but it's way thinner.
Okay.
It's way comfortable, and it should be custom made. You can't just buy something
Yeah, because you might
there.
like swallow it and choke on it.
Exactly. Baka yun pa yung
So you also
kamatay
have
mo.
sleep apnea. Then you're like, choke on the thing.
Exactly. So that's actually one of the treatments.
Okay.
But we have to assess the case first. We also do Botox on that. We have to do splinting, and lastly, we have to correct the bite. Let's say, for example, there's a serious problem on the teeth already, so we have to recreate the teeth. Like usually we do a parang end game namin doon. It's a full mouth reconstruction.
Mhm.
We need to check. We have to make sure that we recreate the bite in such a way that you protect the remaining teeth structure as well as the bone and everything. So it's actually a parang ano siya, not just one time big time.
Right.
Medyo matagal to na process. It's a
long
process.
process.
It's a long process.
So I got a question. So we have, Dr. Jonas, you're into dentistry, cosmetic dentistry.
Mm.
Chris, you are in stem cells and regenerative research. So for the gums that, let's say, for example, they've worn down or the
Mhm.
bone has, I don't know, lost
Mhm.
its original shape or it's not as sturdy as before,
Mhm.
is that something that basically what you two do can be fused together to, I don't know, to create a better and new gum or bone?
Yeah, so the interesting thing about regenerative therapies for the mouth is they're using stem cells for receding gums. So they'll do micro injections on the gum line where you'll see a lot of elderly patients start to have those receding gums.
Mhm.
And it's actually quite difficult to
Right.
fix that. And so they're looking at how to regenerate the gum line. So they'll actually directly inject stem cells into the gum line
Right.
to help restore receding gum lines. So that's being done, yeah.
Because I remember, Dr. Jonas, you talked about how if you just pull the teeth,
Mhm.
right, and you don't fill it in with like a replacement tooth, like the gum will just collapse
Yeah,
or something like that,
yep.
right?
Yep.
So if something like that happened to a patient, technically in this case, that could be something.
Let's
the,
say, for example,
stem
when you
cells injection could make it work.
One of the advantages of stem cell is regeneration, right?
Mhm.
So once we do our extraction, we always tell our patient to do a bone graft or an implant just to make sure that the tooth should be embedded on that particular material so that it will not collapse. Okay, so the role of stem cells here is to like hasten the treatment,
Mhm.
the regeneration process,
Okay.
to hasten that soft tissue as well as the bone to regenerate. So that's pretty much the idea. But when you talk about like without putting any intervention like a bone graft or an implant, there still be a problem with with the gums follows the bone because after like a year
Mhm.
there will be a 25% decrease of bone structure when you extract the tooth. So yeah, it's a good collaboration when we do implant and stem cells.
Or like, is this something that would be potentially possible in the future? Because you know what they
I'm
say.
excited.
Yeah.
You know
Well,
what
I am
you know what they say when you have baby teeth, it falls out, but then you have your more permanent
Mhm.
tooth coming out, right?
Mhm.
But as an adult, like let's say for boxers, and they get punched in the face,
Mhm.
and 4 of their teeth fall out, that's basically it, right?
Okay,
So
yeah,
is stem cell
Yeah,
something that can be
so-
done to regrow the teeth?
So it's interesting what he just said about the bone graft, right? They're taking like an actual cadaver bone and placing it in the cavitation. And so what we're seeing in experimental dental sides
Mhm.
of regenerative dental is they're injecting stem cells into that cavitation area and helping to regrow and restructure the actual bone, right? So
Mhm.
that's very exciting where maybe you don't have to put a cadaver bone down in the cavitation. You can use stem cells to actually regrow and reheal that area.
Cadaver bone. I'm sorry, it's cadaver bone.
Yeah, they're taking an actual piece of bone and putting that down.
Someone else's bone? Your bone?
Doc, you know.
Whose bone?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a
Because when you
bone
say
graft.
cadaver is like a dead
yeah,
body,
Yeah,
right?
they're
Yeah.
actually using bone material to
Yeah.
help because like you said, otherwise that area collapses.
Right.
But you can also use it for wound healing. So we're
Mhm.
looking to collaborate
Yeah.
with this where people want to
Mhm, I'm
improve,
excited.
improve
Yeah.
wound healing.
Mhm.
Right.
Stem cells are being used for wound healing,
Mhm.
right?
Oh, can speed it
speed
up
up
too.
wound healing. We use it for post-surgery recovery and things
Can you
like that.
give like an example of how fast the healing could
Well,
take place with some stem cell?
Yeah, I'll give you an example from a lot of you probably know Tony Robbins,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
speaker.
yeah.
Yep.
He
Motivational
tore
speaker.
his shoulder in a really bad snowboarding accident, and he was going to go get surgery, and he was told that it was going to take him maybe 12 weeks to recover.
Mhm.
He was going to lose mobility.
Mhm.
Anyhow, he's like, I'm a performer. I have to be able to move. I can't lose mobility. And so he rejected the surgery.
Mhm.
He heard about stem cell therapies. He went to Costa Rica. He did
Okay.
3 rounds of stem cell injections in his shoulder. Had a full recovery. He wrote a best-selling book. He's like, why are we not doing this? And so if you want to check out an interesting book called Life Force by Tony Robbins, he talks about all these stem cell things. And so if it can heal your shoulder, like he just said, it's like, well, what can it do for your mouth and your other parts of your body? But, yeah.
It's actually
And
an
definitely
yeah.
for the skin,
Yeah.
because that skin,
Yeah.
people want. They
wanna
want
look
to.
good.
They want to look 20 forever.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Yeah.
And of course, this is also like
Yep.
basically a perfect pair with your teeth, because
Yeah.
someone's smile, you can have the best skin, but if you don't have a nice smile because of your teeth, then you still need that
For sure.
Hollywood, what they call Hollywood smile, right? Hollywood skin.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody asked that question actually. What's the best way to get a Hollywood smile?
Well, the only solution for that, if your teeth are like okay, there's no problem at all. I mean, we go for a non-invasive or minimally invasive type of treatment, which is a veneer procedure. Okay, because with veneers we can be able to change the color, the size, the shape, in relation to your face.
Right.
Because we can't give you something that's very beautiful teeth, which is wherein hindi bagay.
Mm-hmm.
So dapat we should give you something na maganda, the Hollywood smile. Well, I call it a apostolified smile.
Okay.
Yeah, that should be a beautiful, healthy and functional teeth, and not just about beauty, because one of the most one of the problems with veneers is that they want the beauty, but they don't think about the health. But the problem here, if it's not healthy, it's not gonna last. So we have to make sure that it should be healthy.
Right.
So healthy muna, tapos make sure natin na it should be done the right way, and the beauty will follow. So I can give you that beautiful smile, no problem.
Alright.
Which is
It's actually interesting how much you guys are not just fixing cavities anymore. Like we're talking
Mhm.
about sleep improvements, right?
Mhm.
Like TMJ, people
Yeah.
getting headaches.
Mhm.
Like modern dentistry seems to be just really more of like you're a healthcare professional. You're
Yep.
not just fixing a cavity anymore and
Mhm,
bleaching
mhm.
your teeth.
Yep. Yep.
I think the other one that I was interested about is like even the color of your tongue. Like you can detect like bacteria overgrowth
Yes,
or candida.
yes. Yep.
Like just assessing that. Like I'm saying, like you're a primary health physician now instead of
Exactly.
what's
Even
your-
oral cancer,
Yeah.
we do that. We do oral cancer screening.
And you're continuously training abroad and
yeah.
adding more to your repertoire of
Exactly.
expertise, right?
That's
So-
what we do. That's
Yeah.
what I do.
Well, I'm saying, tell us about the tongue. Like, how do we
Mm.
know like if we have these things? I've looked into this, right? Like the white tongue or the
Mhm.
candida bacteria overgrowth. Tell me more about that. Like, how do you assess your health based on your tongue?
So-
Like, you see a lot of tongues.
I see a lot of tongues. Yeah, I see a lot of tongues.
The
Yeah.
people have bad breath. They don't know where it comes
Yeah.
from.
But number one, we have to assess by questioning, a lot of questions, and also we have to know what's normal to what is not normal. For some, we ask them to scrape their tongue.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just accumulation of whatever in there that they ate for the past few months that they didn't brush their teeth, their tongue or whatever. But there are also some cases that because 60% of systemic problem can be seen in the mouth.
Mhm.
So it's actually pretty interesting that whenever you have like diabetes or something, you have a bleeding gums. So with your tongue, it's also
Do you
part.
recommend tongue scraping?
I recommend tongue scraping, but I also recommend just use your toothbrush.
Uh-huh.
To-
What about
to- to-
kissing? When we kiss, should we use the tongue? Should we be French kissing? Should we involve the tongue?
You have to make sure that the tongue is clean. Okay.
Brush it,
You
you
have-
have to brush your teeth first.
Yeah, you have to make sure
Yeah.
that
I don't know if that's popular in the Philippines. French kissing. I don't know.
I think so.
It's popular everywhere in the world.
I'm sure.
See, this is a conversation that normally we would just go on a
Yes,
Facebook
yes, there
Live, and you
go.
brought
There
it
you
out
go.
into the
This is
mainstream.
what people really want to know. How to be a better lover.
I don't want to go to a commercial break now. We gotta keep this going.
Yeah.
But then now you guys got quiet, so I'll just go on a commercial break. All right, we'll be back with more of Tooth or Dare.
We could go Howard Stern style and really ratchet it up, you know.
Come on the Friday show.
Yeah.
On Friday, no, Friday?
We
Fridays.
should just talk about pure
No,
sexual
no.
health stuff.
Yeah, no, Fridays, right? Fridays we just do from 6 to 9, all like love, sex, relationships,
I can
everything.
get really.
And then we drink here
We'll talk
too.
about,
Do you
like,
drink?
No, we'll talk
Oh, you
about
don't drink?
no,
Oh.
but we talk about like vaginal dryness and.
Oh my god.
I'm saying
No, but it's like it's
because
it's,
that's what's in.
But it's
Yep.
gonna be like medical, so it's
Yeah.
I'm
not
saying
like.
it's very interesting
yeah.
because it's like, what is preventing you from being a better lover?
Okay, so come this Friday.
Yeah, like it's
Okay,
an interesting topic.
Great, perfect,
you know?
perfect,
Yeah.
perfect. All right, awesome. You're gonna be a regular here. We're gonna maximize your
I'll
3
tell you-
months.
I'll tell you my story of my virginity. I was a devout Mormon, and I took a lot of chastity.
And you're
vows.
from Utah,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes
How
sense.
long
Makes a
would,
lot
like-
of sense. Yeah.
I'll have to wait and tell you the story later. I'm not going to tell you now.
Oh, okay.
You know?
We have
Wait
to
till
wait until
Friday. That's a long time to wait. The suspense.
I just think like the thing about is like this whole thing about the mouth is like the mouth's the gateway to health. That's what all these dentists say, and that's
Yep.
their catchphrase. The mouth is the
Mhm.
gateway to like your body and your health, stuff
Mhm.
like that. It's
Mhm.
like these are indicators of your systemic health. If you have erectile dysfunction, if you have a white white residue on your tongue, you have bacteria overgrowth, your intestines are filled with bad gut flora, you're eating fried food. Like there's all these indicators that your body's trying to show
Mhm.
you that you're doing something wrong, right? And just people are not good at assessing it. They just push through the pain, you know.
So you guys are the
Exactly.
windows of the actual
Yeah.
health
Yeah.
Exactly.
somewhere.
But here in the Philippines, it's not that popular. Here's the thing:
Yeah,
it's
it's
not that popular. When you talk about something, they would tell you, "Oh, stop! I have a doctor." Who
And they want
will
to
take
they don't
care
want
of
to get
you."
in trouble or
Yeah,
give
yeah.
advice. And a lot of times you
Exactly.
can't make any if you can't monetize it. Like why would I even bother telling you? Like what you have oral cancer? They're like, well, I don't want to be the person to tell you that.
But
you know?
but me, our protocol in the clinic, if we see something wrong with the patient's
Mhm.
mouth, and then that will if that needs or requires assessment, then we send it to hospital or
But that's how
medical
you
doctor or
create like
something like
lifetime customers. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
Instead of
exactly.
just like they shop around for the cheapest
that. Exactly,
teeth
exactly.
cleaning. I need to come get a teeth cleaning. I haven't in a while. So
That's actually the reason why we get the X-rays and everything, so that we can be able to see some problems in there. Yeah.
I was trying to keep it funny. People want to be serious, right?
Yeah.
Your listeners, they like a few
No.
stories and jokes. And
Yeah, they're like. That's why I was like, you don't need to wear a coat.
Yeah.
Just be casual. It's the rock station.
Where's the electronic dance music station? They don't have one here.
No.
Wala, no?
No.
Wala. Wala ba?
Like,
The only one I really listen to is Wish. They do like the live performances.
yeah, the Wish Bus.
I liked that. Those live acoustic shows.
Yep.
I liked that.
There's gonna be several ones. You like watching bands?
I
I'll let you know when there's.
I like the acoustic sets they do. Instead of like the
Ah.
whole loud thing, they just come in
Mhm.
with their guitars and do their
Mhm.
songs
Yeah.
like acoustically. I
Mhm.
really like when they do that. My favorite band of all time is the Dave Matthews Band. I don't know if he's popular out here. Do you know,
Yeah,
you know him?
yeah. We know Dave Matthews.
I've been to like 15 of his shows. I absolutely love him. He does some of the greatest acoustic shows.
He also does a lot of cameos for Adam Sandler movies.
Yes, he's good. Yeah.
What's his song? I don't know. Sorry.
You got your balls, you got your chain tied to me, tight,
Ah, yeah,
thinking,
Okay.
Yeah.
crash into me.
I mean, literally, like
Like that's I think the most popular one that he
Yeah,
has.
he did this amazing acoustic set at Radio City Hall, and it was the first ever Blu-ray release of like an acoustic artist.
Mm-hmm.
And so my dad had purchased this big Blu-ray system, and so half of the compression on a DVD is sound. And so when the new Blu-ray disc came out, you could have the complete uncompressed sound because the file was so big. You only put so
Mhm,
much data on a
mhm,
DVD. When they released Blu-ray, you could put like 10 times the data, which means they could give you the uncompressed audio. So we had this amazing sound system, so you'd hear them play the guitar, and you could hear the full spectrum of sound, and it kind of was a game
Nice.
changer for what it was.
What's your instrument?
I played the trumpet.
Wow. Okay, that's
Doesn't that require a lot of
Blowing,
Air?
blowing, yes.
yeah.
It's tough because you build up like lip strength, and it's
Yep.
not really can't really play it at parties.
Jam88.3, that is Tanya Markova with Disney. And we're back on Tooth or Dare with Dr. Jonas Apostol and Chris Williams talking about dental health and how it can be fused and most definitely should be fused with some stem cells and regenerative sort of treatments. So, what else? Do you have more questions? We were talking
Well,
earlier
we were
about something
talking-
that was kind of like getting really interesting, and then
Well,
there was
if-
awkward silence. I had to go into a commercial.
Well, if we're talking about, are we talking about dental, or what are we talking about?
I don't know. What do you want to
Well,
talk
I mean, the thing is, what I'm interested in is like, I want to learn more about what my mouth is telling me about my health, and I think like, what I learned was like I actually had SIBO, which is what the bacteria overgrowth, and my tongue could actually tell me what's wrong, and I learned that like it's this white mildew, and so like everyone that's listening, it's like stick your tongue out in the morning and look in the mirror, and that can tell you stuff. Like what are you looking for? It's the white, right? Like the white.
Yep.
And and I think that's candida, right?
Candida, yeah.
Yeah. And so I've actually looked into if I had that, like what to do with it and like how to take. Do you ever do anything with essential oils? Like do you do anything with essential oils?
The thing I
How do
am
you get rid of that? Like,
yeah.
from a dental level, what do you use?
Not really.
No.
It's not like our thing here in the as what I've mentioned, oil pulling, essential oils. It's not like medically something that we should recommend because the training is kind of different. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, but there are like alternative medicine about it, about that.
What do you do for bad breath then? When people are like, I have bad breath, doc, what do I do?
Number one, we have to assessment, and we have to check if it's coming from the gums, which is very important for us to check. If there's like inflammation of the gum, we call it gingivitis,
Yeah.
that we have to get rid of that. So it's more of like plaque, something buildups. But if that worsen, we call it pyorrhea alveolaris, which is a more advanced gum problem. So a treatment from a periodontist would be nice. And also the dental cavities, these are things also that can cause bad breath. But these are just within the teeth, the gums. And the cause of halitosis is far beyond that. Like tongue,
The gut.
the
Yeah.
gut, yeah, even
Yeah.
your liver.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you. So I have another question for you. I'm going to tell you a real quick story. So, and Doc, tell me if this has happened. I had 2 baby teeth that had no adult tooth,
Okay.
and I had them
Okay.
until I was 41 and
Oh,
a half.
just
I bet
just-
I'm the record. Have you ever seen a 41-year-old male that still had 2 perfect baby teeth?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
Oh, you have. I thought I
Yeah.
set like a record. So I had to get 2 implants, and I remember thinking, these teeth have been with me my whole life. This is like the last.
Are they smaller than your other
Yes,
teeth?
they were small, and there was no adult tooth under them.
Mhm.
So I literally had 2 baby teeth, and I remember finally removing them. And I thought it was kind of sad. I'm like, these teeth have been with me, working with me for 41 years,
You've
and
been together for
I
4
finally had to
decades.
give them up. I told the dentist, I'm like, I don't want to give them up. I want to keep. This is like the last thing that's really just me. Everything else, my hair is new, my skin's new.
Mhm.
These teeth are mine.
Mhm.
So here's my question for you. I see a lot of people do the nicotine snooze things where they put the nicotine pouch on the gum line,
Mhm.
and I see a lot of people vaping, and I know those chemicals are like toxic to the mouth.
Yeah.
What have you seen in terms of like the nicotine pouch on the gum line that people are sucking with, and what's happening in the mouth with these vapors? All you vape nation out here, let's spoil the
Well,
give
they're
you the
fun.
spoiler alert. Tell
Well,
us about vaping, and then specifically the pouch on the gum line.
well, it has something when you do vaping, when you do brushing, when you do smoking. The thing is that if you don't take care of your gums, if you don't brush your teeth, these things can happen. Let's say your mouth will be dried up. I mean, it's causing xerostomia, which is a dry mouth, which can cause bacterial buildup. So when you're talking about that, it's actually the effects of the long-term vaping and the long-term smoking. So nagkakaroon siya ng problem na ganun yung sinasabi niya. So
And
yeah,
does that cause yellowing of teeth as well?
it's just part of it.
Yeah.
So one of the problem kasi dito, hindi lang nalilinisan or something like that. And the prolonged use of nicotine consumption.
The big thing that I had read about was that it reduces like blood flow to the gums, like nicotine slows down the area, and so you see like even quicker deterioration of the gum lines and stuff like that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I know people that do the tobacco down there. I don't know if that's popular here. They call it like snus, where you can like suck
You
the
chew
pouches.
it.
Ah,
not
parang
familiar with
ano
that.
ba
All I
yun?
know is the chewing.
Yeah,
That's the
parang-
tobacco one, but you put it on the gum line. To
Ah,
help,
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah,
absorb
yeah,
in there,
yeah, I
and
know,
that
I know, I
causes
know.
oral cancer and things like that.
Yes,
But a lot of
yes.
people also use the
Mama,
Zens.
we call this
You know
mama,
the
yeah.
Zens, where you put the little
Yeah.
pouch
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
have like
Uh-huh.
nicotine and stuff like
Yep,
that. I
yep,
think
yep.
that even causes
What is it
gum
called?
issues.
I don't know. Sa province namin, we call it mama.
Mama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like with the old people,
Yeah.
they do that.
Well, so I
Betel
lived,
nut.
yeah, betel nut. So I lived in Taiwan, and they would sell these
Mhm.
betel nuts, and
Yeah.
they would take opium and put it in a leaf, and they put it around the betel
Yeah.
nut, and they would put this betel nut in their mouth, and they would chew.
Mm-hmm.
Because it would break your gum line.
Yep.
Your gum line would bleed, so that the
Mhm.
opium could go in through the bleeding gum line. And because of the betel nut, it mixed into this red color, and they would spit it. And
Yep,
so
yep.
it looked like blood was coming out of their mouth, and there was these like red splotches all over Taiwan. It was crazy, and it like
Sounds
completely
horrific.
destroyed their mouths.
It's actually used to be so
Is it
common
popular
here
too. The betel
in
nuts.
the province,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
not here in the city.
Oh, good. Do they still do it? I haven't seen any. Is it still popular?
I,
Oh,
I,
thank
I am not
heavens.
sure now. No,
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I'm just saying we've replaced it now with people think, yeah, vaping's not as bad, these little
Mhm.
pouches are bad, but I think it really does affect your oral health. So,
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, there's no long-term studies with vaping like right now because vaping is just
It's so new.
it's so new, it's so new.
Yeah.
But the detrimental effect to the body, it's evident now. I mean, there are a lot of studies, not just with your mouth, but also with your health in general.
Yeah, I looked it up. It says it causes rotting teeth, inflamed gums, dry mouth, like you said,
Mhm.
increased oral infections, and it slows healing and damaging tissue. You know,
But what do you get out of it? Why would you do that?
why would you vape?
No, or the.
I'm saying this is vaping. That's the list. What I
Ah.
just read. Those are the effects of
Mhm.
vaping in terms of oral care. you know.
It's more of like systemic. I mean, once you vape, it right off the mouth.
like a habit.
It's the
But people think like vaping, like
lungs. Yeah.
there was what was the company here called Juul or something? I think
Yeah.
they got shut down because it was just so pervasive, and
yeah.
it turns out it really is damaging you. And people are like,
It's
oh,
really
it's time to do
damaging.
this.
Yeah, that's what's
I can do this,
causing popcorn lung, right?
Yeah, it's like I can do it risk-free and stuff like that. And I think these they're called like forever chemicals,
Mhm.
and there's like a heating coil that's
Mhm.
heating those oils and stuff that are going in your body and
Mhm.
stuff. So I mean, be careful.
Yeah.
If anyone's vaping, sorry.
Be careful with vaping. Actually, I've developed like high blood pressure with vaping.
Oh,
really?
did you? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it constricts the blood vessels.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So with the mouth, it's concerning, but with the overall health, it's more concerning.
It's even worse. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
even worse.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Can you look at that? The time is already 7:59. We have just run out of time. We wish we had more time, but yeah, make sure that you check out Apostol Dental Cosmetic Center. They are located at the Electra House
Electra
building.
House.
Electra
yeah.
House building.
Yeah,
And
yep.
what street is this?
7th Street, Legazpi.
7th
Mhm.
Street, Legazpi.
Legazpi Village,
I did
Makati.
half of the work for you.
Thank you.
So make sure you check them out. Follow the social accounts as well. That is Apostol. As soon as you
Mhm.
type in Apostol,
Yeah.
you'll see like a crown on
Yeah.
on a tooth, right?
Yep,
So
yep.
that is the social media account. Do you have any socials you want our listeners to follow, or are you wanting
Not
to
really.
stay incognito?
No, just come find me. You'll see me at Shake Shack.
You want
ordering
to
a
be
burger.
mysterious, the mysterious Chris Williams. All right, thank you so much for joining us on
You're
the
welcome.
show,
Thank
and
you.
also thank you to Dr. Jonas once
Pleasure.
again for all of the dental know-how that we now know more of through our listeners as well. If you have more questions, just go on ahead and send them my way. You know, you can email me at rockandrow44@gmail.com. You can also text it to the hotline that is 0917-142-8573, and we'll ask Dr. Jonas in the next session of Tooth or Dare. Thank you so much, guys. Meanwhile, here is Rammstein with America on Jam 88.3.
All right.
I love
Perfect.
Rammstein.
I have a question here. So I'm live now. So this. Oh, it's my cousin.
Why are you
Here's-
so handsome? Is that
Here's
what
his
you
question. Yeah, I answered that already
Okay.
because we're cousins. So here's his question about stem cell.
asked?
Given the regenerative properties of stem cells, Could successful stem cell grafting in the gum or mouth heighten the risk of malignancy in patients whose oral cavities consistently exposed to risk factors such as smoking, aggressive brushing, hot beverages, and acidic
Yeah.
substance?
So probably the only thing that we look at, and I'm not a doctor, so this is not medical advice.
I'm
but
gonna answer
yeah,
this later.
Yeah, is when we're doing cellular therapies, we
Mm.
do look at cancer and tumor markers.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do have cancer, then it's up to the medical professional to make the call. But our recommendation is if you have cancer markers, not to
Mhm.
get the stem cells, right? So if you have cancer or tumors, then it's best to work with your medical professional to make that decision. But our recommendation would be to not get it.
Okay.
Yeah, because there are some instances that stem cells can. That's the concern they have, is that can it cause cancer growth, right?
Okay.
But in general, we've done about 100,000 treatments. Very few people have been disqualified from getting it. Generally, if a patient has been cancer-free for 3 to 6 months, then they're okay to get it. But ask your medical professional. Ask your doctor.
Nice. He's actually taking up medicine.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, it's in his.
But that's a
second
really
year.
good high-level question that
Yeah.
is, something. So that's why the good medical professionals we work with, like you just did, the
Mhm.
checking, they'll
Mhm.
do cancer markers. So they'll do blood tests to look at all those markers before they do the treatments.
There you have it. Like, well, when we do like a type of treatment, we always, especially if it has something to do with the systemic, we have to consult all the medical professionals
Yeah.
needed. Let's say, for example, there's something wrong with the allergies. We have to collaborate with allergologists, right?
agree.
I mean,
and that's been our thing, is we're not medical professionals,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
And so, it's up to the medical professional. We
Mhm.
have some medical professions
Mhm.
that know how to use
Yeah.
mesenchymal stem cells and
Mhm,
exosomes
mhm.
in different ways to have different reactions.
Yeah.
We've actually seen mesenchymal stem cells reduce cancer, right? Because they improve mitochondria, they strengthen cells, so that can boost the immune response, right? So there's
Mhm.
even like cases of why you'd actually want to get these in conjunction. But at the end of the day, we're not medical professionals. We can't make that call. It's up to the practitioner. And so I'm saying we've had practitioners use MSCs in conjunction with that. Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah.
There you have it.
yeah.
That's how
That's it. Yeah,
how it should be done.
that's like the hardest question in this aspect. So thanks a lot. That's like the
He
hardest
actually
one.
likes Onco.
Yeah,
So
okay, yeah.
I think that's a sound
Yeah,
question right there.
yeah,
Yeah, I love it. I love it too.
yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Pleasure.
How long do you do this till?
Till 9 usually, but I don't have my other guest either, so Dara's gonna take over.
Okay,
Yeah.
and do what? Just play music and chat?
No, she's the intern, so I have her practice.
I know,
So
but
she's
do you
gonna-
what do? You read, you say, hey, did you hear the Kardashians just got
Oh my god.
a cool diamond bikini? Like, what do you
Yeah,
talk about? Just like
well,
gossipy things and.
This is the first time that I'm gonna be like doing a show without a theme or whatever.
But
right?
it's just you. There's no
So-
guests, right?
Usually there is. So
But you have
usually
no
I
guests
come in
today.
here, yeah, because the guests
And
cancel.
what's your topic?
I don't know yet. I'm thinking. Yeah, I'm just gonna see where it goes.
But she's been doing very well, so.
Yeah, you need to talk about millennial things. Like you
No,
know,
she's not millennial.
No,
She's
but
Gen
that's-
Z.
but that's what what is the demographic of this? That's probably the better question.
Well, demographic is probably millennial, but
Well,
we're
that's what
trying
I'm
to also
saying.
get more
yeah.
of her age group.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones who go watch shows, like concerts,
I need to go ahead.
Alright.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. See you next week.
See you next week.
Nice
To see you
meeting
next
you.
week.
We did
Yeah.
good there.
Yeah,
See, I brought out your good side.
I know.
You need a. Where's your place in Makati?
In Makati.
Okay, yeah, I'm
In the
BGC.
commercials as well.
Do you have socials?
Instagram
or something?
Yeah, I'm
If
not
I was
active
gonna be in
there.
a
Are you on
different
WhatsApp?
order
Did I already get
because
your
it
WhatsApp?
says
Yeah, I have.
Oh, there you are, right here,
Yeah.
Dr. Jonas. Yeah, yeah, I can send you my Instagram. I don't know.
Actually, you don't need to type the 25. See, right there. Yeah. And then it says San Miguel, right?
Yeah, I need to come get a teeth cleaning.
I can
So.
just
Sure,
play
sure.
them like
I know that's
next
boring, but
to
it's
each
like
other.
it's like
It's
not.
boring,
It's,
it's boring.
but that's always the start of the journey. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
It's like you
exactly.
start there and.
These two,
you know,
Do you have
Yes.
something in mind?
Is that yours?
Yeah.
Uh,
Do you have something in mind that you want to
No, just you know.
like
it's supposed
smile
to get-
makeover, like implants or
Well,
something?
I just had double implants right
Yeah,
before I
yeah.
left. You know.
Why?
Because I had the baby teeth. So I had no
Do you
tooth
have,
there.
like- do you
He
have,
did a
like,
rod.
Do you have like a root there when they
Nothing.
remove? Nothing.
No, it was just like that.
Wow.
That's what was funny. Is the tooth just basically fell out. It was being held together by my other teeth pressing. You know.
Ah, that's perfect.
Okay,
Anyway,
well.
thank you.
hopefully
These are
we
all
missed out on
fine.
the traffic.
Bye.
Mera, bye-bye.
Bye,
Nice
ingat.
meeting you.
Bye,
Yeah, thanks,
guys.
guys.
Bye. Thank you. So, Chris, Friday, I'll message you.
Okay.
All right.
Something juicy.
Yeah. Bring all the hot topic. Hyper
What do I talk about? I'm gonna buy some time.
Yeah, just put in some songs.